Hey guys, my name is Jason Cowart. My wife and I are planting Freedom Church in Dayton, Texas in September of 2020, right here in a little town north of Houston called Dayton. And I'm a part of this ARC Houston feed, and we've been trying to do what we can to help each other out and best tips and practices throughout all this. Jim Kyles is kind of heading up a series of Zoom meetings over the course of the next few Wednesdays that have to do with different things. This one happened to be production. One will be done over youth ministry, one over children's ministry, just a variety of things like that. Ways that we can help each other really get through this pandemic the best way possible. I also want to mention Jeremy Foster has been awesome about a lot of this as well. He's been hosting these roundtables, and you can access all of that at hopecity.com/roundtable. If you haven't gone there yet, listen, you need to go right this second and go check it out. There's some great stuff from guys you may have heard of, like Chris Hodges or John Maxwell or Craig Rochelle, Rick Bezet, these small guys in the faith these days. But it's well worth going and listening and watching. A lot of great knowledge there. If you tried to jump on the Zoom meeting yesterday, I want to go ahead and apologize. From what we understood, Jim was going to host a meeting and start it up, and so we joined that room. However, due to some circumstances, I wasn't able to get in touch with Jim, so I couldn't share screens and we couldn't record it and all that kind of stuff. And so I switched over to my own room and hosted the meeting there. And so I know a lot of people probably didn't have that Zoom link. Again, I apologize. I don't know what happened, but it is what it is. So what I'm doing today is I'm kind of recapping the information that we talked about. And then what I will do is I will add to the end of this video the link of the conversation, the discussion we had after that. Some people had questions about living as one as an encoder structure. Some people had some questions about how things were set up and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that this will at least help give you some a direction to go in terms of your own video production. And what we're dealing with is people who are in a variety of stages of video production. Some, like Faith Family, Josh Joins, those guys are killing it, man. They're knocking it out of the park. And so they have, they're in a brand new building now. They've been going on for about 5 years, I think. And it's just, they're knocking it out of the park. And so they have a video production team that's a lot more robust than somebody who is in like my situation as a church plant, trying to do every single thing we do on a minuscule budget. And so, what I've done is I've put together 3 options for getting you online and having a good stream, a quality stream, but getting you online. And all of these 3 options are less than $3,100. Now, I also want to say over at that link at hopecity.com/resources, there is a document that I'm going to go over with here in a second, where his team has put together a streaming package as well, 3 different options. And I think their options start at around the $4,000 or $5,000 mark. But again, if you can, honestly, a lot of times with life, just the more money things cost, the better quality they are. And a lot of times that happens. But I do want you to know that whether you have $15,000 to spend on this or $5,000 to spend on this, that you can get a quality stream at a really, really good price these days. Just a little bit of background on myself, so you kind of know like as far as what I'm talking about. I was at New Covenant Church for the last 7 years. I started, the whole time I was there, I was the next gen pastor. About 2 years in, for the last 5 years, I've been the technical director there as well. And then for the last 2.5 years there, I was the North Campus pastor. So New Covenant is a church of about 1,500 people across 2 campuses. And so we basically built a system using pretty much all Blackmagic devices. So me, including me, our lead pastor, our creative arts pastor, and then a guy named Greg Williams, who for a long time had a school in Israel called the King School of Ministry, where they would essentially teach people how to create films. And so guy had a great wealth of knowledge that we tapped into during all that. And so we also would stream from South Campus to North Campus for the first 2 weeks of the month, and then from North Campus to South Campus for the last 2 weeks of the month. And we use Living as One as our solution there. I've heard some people talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit today about people using Living as One as just a normal encoder. I think that would work fine. There is some cost that goes into Living as One. I highly recommend Living as One. It was the best system that we used, but we specifically used it for multi-campus streaming from one campus to another campus. There are other options to get you online that are much less expensive, some that are actually free. And so we want to go over some of that with you today. So again, I apologize if you weren't able to join yesterday. Hey, it is what it is. I'm trying to get you this information today. And so what I'd like to do is basically just take you through 3 different diagrams of a setup that would work for you in terms of your video streaming. Now, this would work for COVID streaming, like, you know, at your house or at a venue or something like that. But you could also modify these to work in your normal services once all that stuff begins again. So let me just take you through that. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share my screen and give you at least those first 3 diagrams. And then I'm going to take you to a Google Docs that I'm going to share with you guys as well. You'll be able to have that that really goes into the details of how everything's hooked up so that there's no confusion there. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you 3 different options, starting off with a higher cost option. So this one, if you have 2 cams with the ATEM Mini Pro, that comes in at $3,027. And so essentially this is how it's set up. Let's just kind of go through the workflow here. You're going to start with your band or your input, your speaker, whatever. That goes into a mixer. We're using a Mackie 12FX. It's a 12-channel mixer with built-in, onboard effects. I'm sure most of us at this point probably have a soundboard, so it'd be easy to use that. We're going to go out of our soundboard into camera 1, which we're using the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera. It comes in at $12.95 from BH Photo, different places like that. Great camera. Now remember, $12.95 only gets you the camera body. You do have to buy a lens. So if you want a regular lens that's going to get like close range stuff, you're probably looking at a 12 millimeter, something in that area. If you want something that's going to get a little bit further throw, like in an actual sanctuary setup, you want something around a 40 millimeter in terms of this specific camera. So there are a lot of options that you can see on BH Photo. Pocket Cinema cameras use Micro Four Thirds as their attachment to put the camera lens onto the camera. And so I have a 12 millimeter lens, I have a 40 millimeter lens, and then I'm currently right now looking at a 12 to 60 millimeter zoom lens. Now those are around $1,000, $800 to $1,000. It's extra. You don't necessarily have to have that, but having a zoom is pretty great when you're out doing events and stuff. I should let you know too that this Pocket Cinema camera actually looks like a traditional DSLR. It's very compact, very portable. And so your stationary lenses are going to cost you about $400 to $500. Zoom lenses are going to be, that upper line there. But right now we're just using a 12 millimeter lens to do all of our video recording. So we have that running into our ATEM Mini Pro, which I'll talk about in a second. This camera number 2 here that you see, that's actually a GoPro Hero 8 with a media mod. So a GoPro Hero 8, I think, is around $250 right now. They may be a little bit more, just depending on where you get it, $279. The media mod costs $79. It allows you to have an HDMI out. And so we run that HDMI out and into this next bit, which is this right here. It's an ATEM Mini Pro. I'm going to flip back over here and show you this. This is what it is. There are 2 options to this. There's the Mini, that's about $295 right now. And then there's the Mini Pro, and this one is at $595. Now, what's the difference? Well, Mini Pros can do 4K video. They also have recording capabilities and live streaming straight from the device. Now, to record to the device, you do have to add an external hard drive to the USB out right here. But this is a solution that you could actually take to any venue you wanted to go to, drop an Ethernet cable to it, and you can stream right there to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Twitch. I think they allow custom RTMP as well, but I'm not 100% on that. This gives you 4 inputs, HDMI inputs. Now, I wish there were SDI, but it is what it is. So we typically run camera 1, camera 2, and some other things. But this allows you to switch back and forth. This also allows you to do lower thirds, which we'll talk about here in a second. But this is a great little device. This can take the place of the $1,000 Blackmagic device that they offer. That's the Studio TV. And then there's another one that's about $2,500. That's an actual big, huge board. But for the compact stuff that we're doing, and especially church planting and really the early, first 5 years of ministry, this is actually a pretty good situation right here for only $595. Let me take you back to that screen share and continue to show you what's going on here. So we bring both of those camera feeds into our ATEM Mini Pro, into channels 1 and 2. Now, you see under here we have a MacBook Pro. What I do is I run ProPresenter, and I take my HDMI out of my MacBook Pro and put it into my ATEM. Now, we don't use anything for channel 3 because we don't have a third camera, but what we're doing is we're inputting our ProPresenter out of our MacBook into source number 4 there. And then there is an HDMI out where we run a monitor. This is going to give you your preview screen, your program screen, which program is actually what's going live. And then you will see all of your input sources in the screen on the bottom there as well. So it just really helps you know exactly what you're looking at and crossfading and all that stuff. Apologies if you hear noises. That is the joy of a home office, is when you have 3 children, 8, 5, and 2, you hear noise. So anybody know my pain? All right. So out of the ATEM Mini Pro, we run a USB-C cable. So it's a USB-C to a USB-A, plugs into our MacBook. And once we get into the MacBook, there are 2 pieces of software that we use. The first is ATEM software that you download. That there's actually a link in the document, so you can take you right to the software you need. But what it gives you is the switcher screen right there. It's got 4 tabs along the bottom. That's the actual switcher. It has a media bin, so you can store some media if you want to. It has camera control. It's got audio. It's got a lot of different things there. But we use ATEM software. And then we feed that over to OBS, which is a free software. It's very, very easy to use. Once you open it, you just create a scene, and then you click on sources, and you add Blackmagic device as a source. So the way you add the Blackmagic device as a source is you actually have to use the video capture source. One would think that you use the Blackmagic device source, but it's actually you use the video capture, and you select Blackmagic device. And you can stream right there to YouTube, to Facebook, to a custom RTMP, wherever you want to go. When I was at New Covenant, we would actually use Mimo for this. Mimo is a paid service, but OBS works just as well, just fine. It's free. And if you need to go to more than one place, like if you want to go to Facebook and YouTube at the same time, you can always tap into a website like Restream.io, which allows you to send in one feed, and then you can send it out to multiple places. So at New Covenant, we would send one feed to Facebook through custom RTMP. We would send one feed to YouTube, and then we would snag that YouTube static URL and put that over in our Church Online program there, so that once YouTube started, Church Online automatically started as well. That's an option that you can use. So you can have up to 4 camera feeds. There are tons of cameras that are available in this Google Doc. I have all the Blackmagic stuff, but I also have some other cameras listed that are cameras that you could use as well. Definitely uses OBS. It absolutely operates like a studio, but at a much smaller price, obviously. You can use ProPresenter for all your media, all your rollouts. So when we do like Memorial Day videos or Mother's Day videos, we run all of that out of ProPresenter and just overlay that as either an overlay on our actual program or as a lower third on our program. You can do that using the DSK1 key on the actual switcher. So that stands for downstream key. And I go through all of this in the document, but essentially you assign your downstream key to that source number 4, that input number 4, and that tells the Blackmagic switcher system that whatever's in number 4, when you push on air for your DSK1, it will overlay whatever that is on top. So if you create some lower thirds, like in ProPresenter, for instance, and you output those in ProPresenter, then you're going to get your lower third overlay. And that means you don't have to do stuff in post, like adding words to songs, adding your sermon notes and all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that in post. You can have somebody run that all live, just like you're in a traditional service. Costs on this one, ATEM Mini is Pro is $595. The Mini is $295. You might have a hard time finding the Mini right now, just because they're super popular. But the Mini Pro actually just dropped in May, so it's a brand new device. Cameras, we're using the Pocket Cinema 4K, $1295. The current lens we're using is $409. and the GoPro Hero. You can see that package there. We did get a tripod. You don't want to get one that's like $20. You want to get something that's sturdy. And so we chose, I think a Manfrotto. We got it from Best Buy for $150. And then you're going to have some cables that you're going to have to get, HDMI cables, etc. So we've allotted about $150 for that. It's probably high, but we want to be sure you get what you need. This does not take into account that you need a mixer. You don't have to have a monitor out, but I think it's important that you do. This doesn't take into account that you have to have a computer, which we assume that you're going to have a computer already. One thing I would note about this specific setup is you don't want to go from your mixer straight into your ATEM Mini Pro. There are two audio inputs for the ATEM Mini Pro, but you're going to want to run that into your camera. Which if you're using a Blackmagic camera, then it takes a mini XLR, which is a lot of fun because you have to get an additional cable. But you want to run straight into your camera and then grab your audio feed from your camera. And you do that on your ATEM Mini. There is a specific button on here just above source number 1 where it says on and off, and that stands for your audio feed. So you want to be sure to turn that on so you can have audio. This is a great system. You can use this whether you're doing COVID recording at your house. If you have to go, like if you want to go get somebody's story and you go to their house, this is something super easy to set up. You can actually run your live services with this every single Sunday. It's a great little setup. And again, $3,100. Come on, somebody, that's cheap. The second one I want to tell you about is a mid-cost one. It's around $2,000. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking out the ATEM Mini Pro, and in its place, we're actually using the Blackmagic Mini Recorder. It is a small device. I'm actually using it right now to use video here, but this is a small device that, okay, so now my kids have just pushed the fire alarm buttons. Praise Jesus. Home office, baby. All right, so the Blackmagic Mini Recorder is about $145. Again, these are kind of hard to get right now too because everybody's using them. I was able to find one on Amazon that was slightly used for about $175. A little bit of markup, but it is what it is. So again, band goes into our mixer goes into our camera 1, which again is the Pocket Cinema 4. We do an HDMI out into that mini recorder, and then from the mini recorder into your computer has to be a Thunderbolt 2 cable. Okay, so that's what specifically works with this. Unfortunately, the mini recorder will not allow you to do 4K, but if you're doing live streaming, honestly, nobody's running 4K live streaming right now anyway. It's typically 720. So even if you're at 1080, you're still higher than 720. Run that Thunderbolt cable into your MacBook. And instead of using ATEM software, we're not using ATEM software now. So what we specifically do is because we want to use ProPresenter to run all of our media, all of our lower thirds, our sermon notes, songs, all that stuff, what we do is we run that straight into ProPresenter. Now, the way you can do this is if you create a new slide, you can click on the live cue palette and you can actually drag your live video into that slide. You'll just select Blackmagic, you'll select Blackmagic Audio, and then what you can actually do is when you click on that slide, it'll show your live video, and then you can overlay whatever you want. You can put it in a stack of programs so you can have all this together. It's just really, really amazing. This is how we've been running our services, and then again, we send all of that over to OBS. OBS takes it in using a system called Siphon. So in ProPresenter, you have to go to File, Preferences, and you have to go to Display. And at the bottom, it'll say Enable Siphon. Well, you have to do that because that's how OBS picks up that camera feed, that audio feed. And so using OBS, we just send that right on through to Facebook, YouTube, RMTP, or RTMP, et cetera, to restream whatever you want to use there. So in this specific setup, you need the mini recorder at $149. You need the Pocket Cinema at $12.95, the lens, tripod, et cetera. So that's actually a pretty sweet deal here for only $2,000. Now, the last one I want to tell you about is way out of the box. Like this is just way, way different. And what I'm going to have to do is after this video is finished, I'm actually going to put the screen grabs from this in post. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead over to my iPad right now, and I'm going to record the screen. Okay, let's see. Record screen, because I want you to be able to see all of this stuff because it's really amazing. It's this thing called Switcher Studio. I believe it or not, I found out about this while I was scrolling TikTok one day. So see, TikTok is useful, guys. This uses an iPad as your switcher, and it allows you to connect up to 9 iPhones wirelessly to that iPad and use those as your video feeds. Most of you know nowadays that the cameras that you have on your phones are like a million times better than what we were using, 5 years ago for professional stuff. They're just incredible. They're all 4K. They're great. And so you can stream to YouTube, to Facebook, to Twitch, or a custom RTMP right out of the switcher. Or you can just record it to your iPad, so you can do some post-production stuff and then post it later. It allows you to monitor Facebook chat on your screen. Like, it's insane. It's really neat. One of the things that I have done, I'm going to stop the screen share for just a second so you can see this. But one of the things I've done as well is I've purchased this right here. It's called a hyperdrive. It has 3 USB 3.0 ports. It's got an HDMI input or output. It's got Ethernet. It's got an audio input. It's got USB-C, so you can charge your iPad as well. And then it has 2 SD card slots, a regular size and then a micro. But I use this audio input. So what I do is I bring my audio in from my mixer and put it right into this Blackmagic device. This plugs into my iPad, and this is how I get quality audio in my iPad using the Switcher Studio. So again, I'm going to take you back to that screen. I'm going to share that. And then I'm going to actually drop in the video from my iPad on here. This is really incredible. So essentially what you do is you have a camera. If you can see the little box up there, I just have my phone on a tripod right here. And so, hey there, I'm looking at you. And what you basically do is I'm going to delete the camera out of it real quick. I'm going to remove. And then I'm going to add this again so that you can see the process. So all I do is I click the plus sign, I click inputs, and then there's my phone right there. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and you'll see, boom, there it is. There's my camera right there. Hey there. And so what's great about this is you can do videos. So this right here is a video that's intro for our podcasts that we do. I actually use this for our podcasts because I want 2 camera feeds. Our podcasts are kind of like the Joe Rogan style of podcast. 2 camera feeds is pretty awesome. You can do stills. You can actually go in and add photo, video, text graphics, logos, a lot of different things. The Switcher Cloud is where you can actually host media in the cloud, so you don't have to carry it around on your iPad if you have low space. Text graphics, so you can do lower thirds, social overlays, donation stuff. It's just amazing, all the different things you can do with this. You can do titles, so welcome to the show. So let's just say we're going to go with that one. Let's see, text here. Let's do this one right there. And we'll say done. And so when I click on that, it does a sweet little overlay right there. And it's really amazing. You can send to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn Live, Twitch, custom RTMP. You can record. It automatically records to 1280, but if you want to jump it up to full HD, you just click director mode, and that does that. It's just, I'm telling you, it's really, really amazing. If you wanted to record the whole screen, you could output the whole screen. And so it's just really, really neat, this whole process. You have different things you can do with transitions. What's really cool is I can click the A and B thing here. Let me go ahead and remove that just because it's in the way here. Remove. Okay, so I can click A and B right here, and I can actually select me, and I can select, hold on, I have the A and B. Come on, there we go. And then select 1 and 2, and all of a sudden now I have a split screen, which is really cool if you're doing a podcast. So I'm telling you, this is just the coolest little thing. And if you want to go back to solo, you just hit solo. It is really, really incredible. And guys, believe it or not, this is $39 a month is all it is. Most of you have an iPad. Most of the people who are working on your team, most of them have like iPhones that they'd let you use. So like maybe your drummer sets his iPhone up. Maybe the guitar sets his iPhone up. Maybe you have a guy that's got a centerline iPhone set up. Maybe you have somebody that is walking around with their iPhone, getting some really nice motion shots. What's really cool as well is if you see right here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little magnifying glass. I can actually zoom in right from my switcher. But look at that. That's crazy. The glorious beard. but you can zoom in, right? It's amazing. Like, this is unbelievable for only $39 a month. It's insane. You can actually even send in a computer feed, download the program on your computer, and you can actually share your screen to whatever's going on. I'm really blown away by this. This was like sci-fi 5 years ago. And so anyway, just wanted to tell you guys about that. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to do today is to show you this Google document that I've been talking about. I'm going to go ahead and get those links for you. First thing though, here is the roundtable link. Again, I highly recommend you go through here. This roundtable with Jimmy Rollins, Earl McClellan, and Chris Durso was intense. Having to do with a lot that's going on right now in terms of race relations. It's amazing. It's really going to be a benefit to you. Dino Rizzo was incredible. I mean, all these guys were great. Just some great stuff. John Maxwell, like, we couldn't type fast enough. This guy was dropping bombs. So really, really good stuff. He's got some resources down here. Social Stream Kit, how to stream Instagram. I mean, just a lot of different things. Jim from Anchor Ben has put in some resources. LifePoint has done the same thing. It's Christ Fellowship. Just some great stuff here. Voice of Faith 10 Talks with Dr. Maxwell. Got to read that. Holy moly, it's great. But let me show you this home live streaming kit that Jeremy's team has put up. It's really incredible. It goes from some affordable options to some, nicer, and then to like really, really awesome. And so I think your nicest option is going to be around $6,000, which again, still ain't bad. That ain't bad, because this stuff can easily get you into the 20 to 30K mark, like real fast. So I highly recommend you go through and check out this stuff. It has some different cameras that are available. I tend to lean on the Blackmagic stuff just because that's what I'm used to. That's what I've used in the past. But again, Sony cameras work, Canon cameras work. I mean, there's a lot of different options out there, and you can go as little or as much nuts as you want to there. Let's talk through just some of this document stuff. I've added my contact information just because if you want to reach out, or if you want me to connect you with somebody else, like there's a guy over at Faith Family, Lalo, he was awesome yesterday. You're going to hear from him in a few minutes on the second part of this video. But he can help a lot in terms of Living as One and how they're using it. Again, we use Living as One for multi-site, so I can highly recommend Living as One, but I'm probably not going to need a ton of help in terms of how you use it for your basic streaming to Facebook and stuff. We use OBS for that. You can use Wirecast. You can use Livestream. You can use Mimo. Even Vimeo has their own live streaming bit now. So a lot of options out there. But there's my contact information. I'd love to help you out as much or as little as possible. I take you through the highest cost stuff. I take you to how you set all of this up, download links for the software, how to connect the software, how to do your lower thirds, how to run your audio, OBS, like the whole 9 yards. And then I give you the costs and the links to the different things that we're using or that you could use that would work. There's a mid-cost option, and then there is the super, super low-cost Switcher Studio, which again is awesome. I'm a big fan right now. Gives you some information about what you can do with that stuff, which is pretty amazing. Also, some other things you might need. I have a box sliding rig that's like a traditional, photography rig. I got it for $175 off of Amazon. It's been great. Comes with 2 box lights, 2 side fills. It even comes with a backdrop, for crying out loud. All of the gear. Only thing I didn't use is the light bulbs that came with it. I got some 100 watt LED daylight bulbs, and so I'm using that. Here's the Mackie 12 channel mixer that we use, Thunderbolt cable, which must have gold in it because it's really expensive. And then there's some options besides the Blackmagic Mini Recorder. I have not used these, so I can't tell you whether or not they're going to be awesome or not. I know the Blackmagic one is awesome, but I also know that these two are actually pretty highly rated. And then also I'm going to have some different camera options at the bottom of this as well. I did all that research the other day and got all that for you, so I'll link all of that stuff below here. That's pretty much it in terms of 3 options that I wanted to share with you. One of the things that's super important for us as a part of the ARC family is that this is more than just informational sharing. This is more than just, hey, this is our best practice. It's the Association of Related Churches. So we want to be relational in this. So we don't want you to hesitate to reach out, to call. If I don't know an answer, I'll connect you with somebody who does know an answer. Even if that means connecting with somebody at Church of the Highlands or Gateway or just any of these other, like Hope City, like connecting with some guys that know what's going on And so we want to definitely be a resource to you. Also, if you have some stuff maybe that you're using that we've not mentioned or you don't hear at the end of this, hey, let us know. Like either send us a short video or something to our GroupMe feed, or in some way, shape, or form, get it out to us. Because at the end of the day, and this is where I land on all this is all about souls being saved. This is about people coming to the kingdom, and we want to do whatever we can and use whatever resource we have to see people come to Jesus Christ. And I'm looking at a camera right now that is capable of allowing the atmosphere of the Holy Spirit to be developed in somebody's life, even when they're sitting in their living room, when they're sitting in their car, when they're at their office just watching. I'm going to tell you what, people's lives can be changed through this. And so if you are a part of your tech team, if you're a part of your staff that helps get this information out through tech and media, I want to just tell you how much I appreciate you. I know your pastors appreciate you. Let me tell you something. God appreciates you. He knows what you're doing. He knows the hours you put in. He knows the work you put in. He knows the time you've spent learning and developing all these things. When people look at it and go, I have no clue, you're the one willing to jump in and say, you know what, I'll learn it. And I want you to know God is pleased with that, and he loves that about you. He's so happy that he created that inside of you, and I want you to know he is so appreciative of what you're doing to help move the kingdom forward. I'm appreciative. Ark is appreciative. Your pastors are appreciative. I want you to know you're loved, and you are appreciated. Amen. Well, God bless you guys.